Sa stage, okay. Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our press conference on the first ever National Higher Education Day. I'm Zyril and I'll be your moderator for today. So, to introduce our speakers, we have, of course, our CHED Chairman, Popoy de Vera, Commissioner Ronald Adamat, Commissioner Aldrin Darilag, who is joining us via Zoom, our CHED OIC Executive Director, Freida Milla, UniFAST OIC Executive Director, Ryan Estevez, and Director Sylvette Gunigundo is joining us via Zoom. So we've listened to all the very notable messages from President Duterte, Chairman De Vera, from our senators and our representatives. But before we proceed to the Q&A portion, we would also like to acknowledge our media friends from the following news agencies who are joining us now. We have ABS-CBN News Online, ABS-CBN News, Inquirer, Philippine Information Agency, Rappler, Philippine Star, Manila Times, PTV4, and Philstar Online. So to our media friends who are joining us via Zoom, please click the raise hand button found under the participants tab to enter you into the queue for questions, or you may simply send your questions in the chat box. So the floor is now open for questions from our media friends. Okay, so I'll start muna siguro.
Wala tang question, uwian na tayo. No, we'd like to thank our media friends for taking time out. With me is Commissioner Ronald Adamat, our OIC Executive Director of CHED, Attorney Milla, and our Executive Director for UniFAST, Ryan Estevez. No? And I hope our media friends saw our opening this morning. A lot of the things that we are saying were already covered in my message this morning and also our press releases. So we'll be very happy to answer questions. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll start then muna siguro. Just to give an overview to our media friends, may I ask our CHED officials on the significance of this event and why are we celebrating National Higher Ed Day? Baka just to give a quick ano lang po, overview.
Well, first we'd like to thank the President, President Rodrigo Duterte, and the members of the House and the Senate for passing RA 11522, which declares every May 18 of every year as National Higher Education Day, and also recognizes the work of CHED for the past 27 years. So we thank them for recognizing CHED's effort and thanking them for putting a date where all stakeholders in higher education can look back, identify and recognize the things that we've done, and commit to do better in the coming years. And so this year, we are also claiming victory for Philippine higher ed because we have achieved a lot, especially under the Duterte administration. And this is the time to recognize the work of the officials, the staff of CHED, our regional offices, and most especially our higher education institutions, because they are the ones who really are our partners in all our programs and projects. No? So we are happy that we are all here today. And if you've seen the events that are happening simultaneously in all regions, there is a lot of excitement in celebrating Higher Education Day. Kaya medyo na-late itong press con natin kasi pinanood pa ng mga tao yung opening program, pati yung winners doon sa test beneficiaries video contest. And some of us, like Commissioner Adamat, also came from the activities in the regions which are also happening at the same time today, no? So sabay-sabay. Ako rin, yung ibang nangyari sa region, I wish I had watched it, but everything is happening all at the same time.
Okay, Commissioner Ronald, would you like to add po to that? On your message lang po for
Uh,
national higher.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. This is a milestone in the history of higher education. First of all, just like what the chairman said, we have to thank the Duterte administration for recognizing the importance of higher education. And we can also equally appreciate this administration for having passed Republic Act 10931, which is the universal access to quality tertiary education. Congress have done the role, and in the implementation level, through the leadership of Chairman Vera and the commissioners and all officials of CHED, we were able to effectively implement the universal access to quality tertiary education law. And so many students have benefited of this law now, which spelled the difference. And this landscape of higher education has changed dramatically for the better. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Com Ronald. We have a question from ABS-CBN. How are private universities preparing to vaccinate their faculty members and personnel? And how is CHED helping them with this? Chair.
Okay, that's a very good question. No? The help that CHED did was first, we were able to include all higher education personnel under B1 in the prioritization of beneficiaries. No? Because before, they were not even in the B1. So we were able to include them in B1 through our manifestation in the IATF. After that, we fought to further upgrade the skeletal workforce of higher education institutions and agencies from B1 to A4. Our argument in the IATF was that you needed to vaccinate the skeletal workforce of HEIs because by July, the students would have graduated. They would need their grades, their transcript of records, their diploma, so they can take the licensure test, they can look for a job. If the skeletal workforce in our higher education institutions are not vaccinated by that time, there is a risk that they will not be able to efficiently issue the credentials of students. The credentials cannot be done online. Diplomas are printed on special paper. The transcript of records cannot be disseminated online. These have to be done manually or by individuals. And so we thank the IATF for now including them under A4. This afternoon, we will do a ceremonial vaccination of education frontliners in Manila together with Mayor Isko Moreno and Secretary Duque. So Commissioner Ronald, Adamat, and I will be going to Universidad de Manila after our press con to do the ceremonial vaccination of education frontliners in the Universidad de Manila. Our message there is we hope that the other LGUs would follow the lead of Manila and start vaccinating their education frontliners in preparation of the closing of the school year and also eventually the opening of the next school year. No? So that's for the education frontliners. Now, yung question, magbabakuna ba tayo ng mga estudyante at saka mga bata? This is going to be discussed, by the way, in the IATF this week, because there are countries in other parts of the world that are changing their policy or reviewing their policy and thinking of prioritizing vaccinating students so that they can go back to some face-to-face classes. Also, this is a recognition that especially for younger students, they are observing in other countries that the mental health of students are really getting affected, and they'd like the students to be going out of their homes more frequently. And the answer in other countries is to vaccinate them. So that will be discussed in the IATF, whether that is a policy that we could also have in the Philippines. So hopefully that will be taken up, I think, in the IATF this week.
Thank you, Chair. We have our next question from Manila Times. Is CHED looking at other fields or programs to be included in the implementation of limited face-to-face classes? What field or program would CHED recommend to the President?
Yeah, first, first we have to see whether the first batch of those allowed limited face-to-face, whether the limited face-to-face worked, meaning we have to get data if the students are really safe, if there is no infection, there is no transmission. And once the data is available, we can. I would go to the president and ask for the next batch. The next batch most probably will be engineering, information technology, industrial technology, maritime, because these are degree programs where you have a lot of hands-on activities that cannot be delivered virtually. But all of that is contingent on the safety of students in the first batch. The initial data is very positive, like in the UP College of Medicine in the first 2 months of limited face-to-face, there was zero transmission. I was told Our Lady of Fatima in the first month also had zero transmission. If this holds true in the more than 60 universities that have been allowed some limited face-to-face, then the Commission and Bank will study and recommend what is the next batch. So ang nangyayari ngayon, the deans of the engineering schools are already talking among themselves. They are preparing, helping the Commission draft the guidelines. The Commission has approved a lot of, flexible learning reforms in the different degree programs already. So at the proper time, the Commission will look into this.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, part of our celebration today is the symbolic vaccination. So how did CHED lobby for the approval of the IATF in upgrading the prioritization of our HEI personnel?
Nako, mahabang debate sa IATF yan. I think Attorney Milla was there when I argued before the IATF to upgrade the prioritization. I think so much attention was given to other sectors na medyo nakalimutan ng konti yung education sector. Kasi pag sinabi mong education sector, ang naiisip madalas as students. So, kaya iniisip nila, siguro, sa palagay ko, hindi priority students kasi pwede yung flexible learning. What was not being given equal emphasis is that there is a big workforce in every university and in CHED that are working behind the scenes to receive grades, prepare documents, prepare certifications that students need. Kung wala yan, kung hindi nakakasiguro yung mga skeletal workforce sa HEI at CHED na hindi sila ligtas, maapektuhan talaga yung kanilang trabaho. So they are as essential as all other government agencies that are issuing permits, licenses, any documents that are needed. Those in the higher education sector are equally important. Kaya nung na-discuss sa IATF ito, natuwa naman ako na sinang-ayunan ng IATF at nakapasa. So ang estimate namin, yung skeletal workforce sa higher education institutions, approximately about 150,000 people need to be vaccinated. These are the frontline workers, those that hindi lang faculty ito, by the way, this includes employees who are working not work from home but doing actual work, those dealing with finance, those dealing with admin. Dito sa CHED, ilan ba tayo sa CHED? Mga 300? About yung skeletal workforce natin dito. It's about just here in the CHED Central, there's about 300 employees who are part of the skeletal workforce. And we need to assure them that their health is safeguarded so that they can work efficiently. Mga 300 ang estimate dito sa Central. Hindi pa kasama yan yung skeletal sa regional offices because we're working here in CHED at less than 50% capacity. Yung marami nagwo-work from home, yung mga technical, pero yung pumapasok regularly, it's about 300 employees. Marami sa kanila hindi pa nabakunahan. So, yun ang ang pinupush ng commission ngayon na hanapan ng paraan na mabakunahan sila.
Thank you, Chair. A follow-up question po from ABS-CBN. Are there private colleges and universities procuring their own vaccines similar to what the private sector is doing po?
Yes, in our meeting with them, many big universities have indicated that they would like to procure vaccines, and we referred them to the office of Secretary Galvez kasi yun ang nagko-coordinate ng agreements eh. And so we leave that decision to the universities to procure. No, some of the universities which are connected with big companies are going to get their vaccine through the big companies. Because remember, some of our big schools are part of business conglomerates. No, so doon sila kukuha ng vaccine nila. They have the financial capability to procure their own vaccines.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, our central message today is Padjak claiming victory for free higher ed. To date, ilan na po ba nationwide ang ating beneficiaries ng free higher education po?
Okay. Sa free higher ed, it is close to 1.6 million students are no longer paying tuition and miscellaneous fees. The breakdown of that is about 1.3 million in the 112 state universities and colleges, and about 300,000, no, Ryan? About 300,000 in the local universities and colleges. So it's about close to 1.6, around that level, no? So yan yung hindi na nagbabayad ng tuition and miscellaneous fees in more than 200 public universities. For school year 2020-2021, there are 500,000 slots for the tertiary education subsidy. So this is more than 100% increase from the original 200,000 slots when the law was passed. And then a little over 300 tulong-dunong beneficiaries. Hindi pa kasama dyan yung merit scholarship ng CHED. Madami ding merit scholars. These are the students who get financial assistance because they have high grades in priority programs. Hindi pa kasama dyan yung scholarship sa agriculture na we are implementing together with DA and the Sugar Regulatory Administration. Yung scholarship sa agriculture under kay Commissioner Adamat yan. Marami din yan, no? Sugar Regulatory, DA, hindi pa dyan kasama yung scholarships ng DOST. So pag tinotal mo lahat yan, lagpas 2 milyong estudyante ang natutulungan ng gobyerno ngayon. I don't think that has ever happened in our whole history that more than 2 million students, pag tinotal mo yan, 1.6 plus 5, 2.1, plus 300 tulong-dunong, 2.4, plus yung iba pang scholarship. Siguro about close to 2.5 million students are being assisted by government financially. That has never happened in our history. And that is the basis for CHED claiming victory for Philippine higher ed. Kami ni Com Ronald, graduate kami ng public school, kaya alam namin gaano kahirap maghanap ng pera kung gusto mo mag-aral. I think the commissioners of CHED personally have experienced this. And that is the reason why we take our responsibility seriously. Siguro si Com Ronald pwede magkwento niyan kasi yung kanyang buhay ay talagang kung si Com Ronald ay estudyante ngayon, mas madali makapag-aral. But especially in Mindanao, access to education has been very difficult. So yun ang aming claim as a commission.
Okay po. Com, would you like to add po?
Yeah. Nagsalita na yung chairman pero hindi na ako dapat magsasalita pa. Pero speaking of inclusivity, accessibility, as I've said a while ago, Republic Act 10931 has really spelled a difference. As it was pointed out by the chairman, more than 2 million students have benefited out of this, and that is enough reason for us to claim victory in higher education. Kaming mga product ng mga public schools, napakahirap. Unang-una, if you are from the remote areas, you cannot speak of quality education because it's either you have to walk 2 to 3 kilometers away, just like me. When I was in grade 1, I cannot make it at 7 years old because I have to walk 3 kilometers to school, barefooted, with no slippers. Now, education is becoming close, or it's being more accessible to students, especially with the passage of this law. So we are working on to expand the coverage of the TES, the tertiary education subsidy, because as it is now, the only basis is the listahanan ng bayan ng DSWD, wherein students coming from the remotest area or far-flung areas are not members of the bayanihan listahanan ng bayan ng DSWD. Now, we have initiated something to expand, to include the marginalized sectors like the indigenous peoples, like the Muslims, and other sectors for that matter, to give more impact and meaning to the implementation of the law. So this is within the trust of CHED. Hopefully, within this year or the following year, we can fully implement this, the expansion of the coverage of the tertiary education subsidy. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Com Ronald. Kahapon po nag-kick off ang ating CHED anniversary. So ano pa po ba ang dapat abangan ng lahat this week? Kasi week-long celebration po itong ating CHED anniversary. Maybe Attorney Lily po can discuss po kung ano pa po yung dapat abangan ng ating ng lahat on our week-long celebration po, ma'am?
Marami po kaming in store for you. Actually, kahapon, nagsimula na, hindi lang yan dito sa central office, kundi maging sa regional offices namin. Marami pong mga activities na ginaganap. Ang ating mga universities ay kasama rin sa celebration na to, kaya nakakatuwa po talaga. Dito sa central office, our partners will also be joining us this afternoon. We will be having our partnership with the Quacquarelli Assignments webinar. Kahapon, yung International Labor Organization naman on adult education. Bukas, yung ating mga partners from the US Embassy, from the Canadian Embassy, and from the British Council launching their respective partnership programs with the Commission on Higher Education. At tapos sa hapon po, kami po ay magkakaroon ng kauna-unahang Internationalization Awards recognizing 17 HCIs with their unique and internationalization programs that are both sustainable and inclusive. So bukas po yan. Tapos sa Thursday po, ang ating partnership programs naman with the private institutions, private HEIs, sa ilalim po ng COCOPEA, ang ating mga public institutions sa ilalim po ng PASUK, at para po sa local colleges naman with the ALCO. So marami pa po. Stay tuned. Marami rin po kaming nakapost sa aming CHED official FB page, yung mga pagbati, yung aming mga programa, makikita nyo rin po yan. Yung interview mo, sir, with Miss Jody Santa Maria is already posted, no? They are discussing adult education and lifelong learning. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Attorney Lily. Today naman po ay National Higher Education Day, no? So, Attorney Ryan, ano po ba ang mga hinanda ng UniFAST na events po ngayong araw na ito?
Before pumunta kay
sorry
Atty.
po, Chair.
Ryan, no? Yung celebration natin hindi lang ngayon kasi we're making it a celebration for the next couple of months kasi nga this is moving forward to claim victory. For example, yung mga conversion ng mga state colleges and universities, part yan ng celebration ng CHED for this year. So 2 weeks ago, we presided over the conversion of the Sorsogon State College into the Sorsogon State University. And on June 17, Commissioner Ronald, Adamat, and I will go to Cotabato City to also confer on Cotabato State Polytechnic College into a conversion to Cotabato City State University. Kasama yan kasi matagal ang dinaanan ng mga universities para ma-convert. And we want to recognize them, recognize those who are behind it, and also show that these colleges have become universities. Meron ng quality assurance stamp of approval yung mga yan. So I think this June we are also presiding over the conversion of Minskat into the Mindoro State University. And then pag gumanda na yung COVID situation sa Zamboanga, yung conversion din na Zamboanga State Polytechnic din yata yung sa Zamboanga into a university. So kasama yan doon sa mga activities na gagawin. This weekend, Atty. Ryan and I will be going to Cebu. We're going to meet with the test beneficiaries and the local colleges and universities in Cebu. Magpapadyak din kami doon. Magbibisikleta kami na 50 kilometers to meet the education stakeholders. So each of the commissioners have their own activities in the different regions. So ito, hindi talaga National Higher Education Day. Parang National Higher Education Year ang mangyayari dito because sa dami ng activities na gustong gawin ng mga university, hindi talaga magkakasya sa isang araw o isang linggo Ang marami ay in-schedule na sa ibang ibang month, including yung may bago tayong pa-contest, yung mga merit scholars ng CHED na nakagraduate na at saka nagtagumpay na. Ni-launch natin yung contest ngayon. Yan ang awarding niyan is I think August yung awarding. And then yung Edu Campion that we are sponsoring or we are holding together with Rex Bookstore. We are also launching it today. This is a competition between universities that had innovative practices under flexible learning. It's a big nationwide competition that will also start today. And then, ano pa yung isang contest mo?
Yung second phase mo ng test.
Okay. Tapos yung na-award na natin yung nanalo do sa 1-minute video ng test. Meron pa tayong sunod na contest dyan. Iba-ibang topic tungkol sa test ang pagko-contestan. So, there are many activities. Please just go to the website of CHED so that you can get all the list of activities there.
Thank you, Chair. One of the highlights din po ng celebration natin ay ang pagkakaroon po ng CHED hymn. So may we call on Commissioner Aldrin Darilag on the concept kung paano po natin nabuo itong CHED hymn. Com?
Magandang umaga sa lahat. Magandang umaga, Chairman Popoy at ang ating Commissioner Ronald Adamat at si OIC-ED Milla and si ED Estevez. Ito pong CHED hymn ay napapalooban ng tagumpay ng CHED. So tagumpay natin ang pagkakaroon ng mga profesional na Filipino sa bansa at sa ibayong dagat. Ito po ay naglalaman ng buhay ng mga Filipino na bahagi ng kaunlaran ng daigdig sa iba't ibang larangan. Aasahan pa natin ang mas malaking tagumpay sa hinaharap dahil sa ngayon, abot na ng mga Filipino ang mataas na edukasyon. So ito po ay binibigyang diin sa CHED hymn na ang edukasyon ay abot ng lahat ng kabataang Filipino. Kaya meron po tayong universal access to tertiary education at ito po ay binibigyan diin sa CHED hymn. At ang CHED hymn po ay nilikha ng mga taong ating naging kasama sa National Commission for Culture and the Arts sa pangunguna po ni Dr. Joseph Sani Cristobal. Siya po ang lumikha ng titik ng CHED hymn. At ito po ay nilapatan ng melody ni Mr. Ato del Rosario. At ito po ay inawit ng Philippine Madrigal Singers sa pangunguna ni Mark Anthony Carpio. So lahat po ng ating mga kasamahan sa industriya, sa edukasyon ay nagtulong-tulong. Kasama po ang ating mga commissioners at si OIC-ED Milla upang ating maging kaganapan ang CHED hymn. Sa loob po ng 27 taon, tayo po ay nangangarap na magkaroon ng CHED hymn at ngayon lang po na isakatuparan ang matagal na nating pinapangarap na himno ng Commission on Higher Education. Ito po ang alay natin sa buong bayan. Ito po ay kinapapalooban ng tagumpay at magagandang kasaysayan ng Commission on Higher Education. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Com Aldrin. We'll be entertaining the last two questions. First po ay from Manila Bulletin. The chairperson of the House Committee on Health urged CHED to lift the moratorium on the opening of new programs for nursing amid the shortage of nurses here and abroad. Comments niyo po, Chair?
Actually, ang nag-isip niyan ay hindi yung mga Department of Health. Matagal nang pinag-uusapan yan ng komisyon. But what we did was to consult with the Department of Labor and the Department of Health on what is the actual situation on the ground. as far as our nursing health is concerned. If you remember, Ronald, maybe last month pa, this was already discussed in the Commission and Bank, but we wanted to find out what is the condition on the ground. And it appears that based on the data of the Department of Health and DOLE, we need to act on this. And so there is a moratorium on the opening of nursing programs. The Commission, maybe this week or next week, will start discussing it. Ang plano ng Commission is not a wholesale lifting, but a targeted lifting. For example, we can allow the opening of nursing programs in the geographic areas where COVID is very prevalent, because that is where government health facilities will be upgraded, and therefore you need additional health personnel, because the supply of nurses is particularly acute in some areas of the country, because we need this for the expanded response to COVID. The other thing that we should consider is when we talk of the nursing program, the whole world needs health personnel now because of COVID. So the demand is not just really demand of the health requirements of the country. There's also very strong demand in other countries. In fact, in some countries, they're offering residency status to OFWs who are working there in the health sector, just to integrate them. No, so this has been an ongoing discussion in the Commission, and with the Department of Health and the DOLE agreeing that there's a need, it will be easier for the Commission to look into this and decide on this.
Okay, Chair, one last question po from Manila Times. Mayroon pa po bang schools na nag-apply for limited face-to-face classes sa medical and health allied courses? And how many schools are still waiting for approval from CHED?
Ang na-approve na mag-limited face-to-face, I think 64 ang na-approve na. I don't have the exact figure on how many are still waiting, because under the CHED DOH guidelines, the inspection, validation, and approval of this is with the regional offices of CHED. Because nationwide ito. So we have pending applications. When I was in Bicol, they said that in the Bicol region, there were 5 approved universities. And they have a waiting list of more than 10 that is still waiting. So it is possible that there are many other applications being processed now. But I wouldn't know the exact number. What I know is the number of approved schools, because the inspection of this is very meticulous, and the approval is not very easy to get.
Thank you, Chair. And that concludes our press conference for today's National Higher Education Day. Our media friends can also join us at 1 p.m. later at Universidad de Manila for the symbolic vaccination of HEI personnel. So thank you to our CHED officials and to our media friends who have joined us via Zoom.